Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. So we're streaming to YouTube. There's always that delay, so there's probably about a 30-second delay on the YouTube feed, but
I thought we weren't doing YouTube this time.
we have to.
Oh. I'll let my wife know. She was kind of bummed that she doesn't like doing Zoom, but she likes the YouTube. I'll let her know.
So I had YouTube going. I was saying that there's that delay, you know? So I heard Cricket saying, "Can you hear me now?" After we already said, yes, we can hear you now, but I heard her 30 seconds later, and I was talking to her through the same earpiece on YouTube as what I was talking to her on Zoom. It's extremely confusing.
Hmm. Getting too cozy here, working from home.
Is my audio better, Sean?
It's still a little bit poppy, crackly.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
And Mary, did you know your picture's backwards?
I know, I just tried to fix it. Let me try it a different way. No. I will go picture this. Oh, my office is a mess.
Right. Has Danny made contact?
I think he is connecting here. It looks like he joined the previous meeting though. So I'm sending him the new link to make sure he gets on here.
Okay.
Yay. Is that better?
Nope.
My background. Did I fix it?
It looks fine.
No.
We know where you're at.
Yeah, but when I look at it now, it's backwards, so it should be all right for you guys.
I think you need to hit mirror my image.
Oh, and that's what I was on before and I took it off.
Hmm. Maybe your sign's backwards.
Try it again. Yeah, your sign is backwards.
I got your sign. Okay, that's with mirror on. Is that better?
Don't listen to me.
I'll fail.
Give me a couple more minutes here and then we'll get me over into the meeting.
Okay. Got it?
There we go. Yep. So Danny, are you in? You're on mute, but I can see your picture at least.
Yeah. He's on?
I think so.
Okay.
Give me one more second here.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I'm in now.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
There we
cool.
go.
All right, very good. All right, well, we'll call the meeting to order at 7:04 PM. Danny, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure will. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Danny. Okay, roll call.
Is Councilmember Baker there?
Here.
Oh, here, okay. Councilmember Cartwright,
Here,
Councilmember Clark Kretz,
Here.
Councilmember Nisley,
Here.
Mayor Duncan.
Here. Okay, we had a closed session meeting at 6 PM and there's no reportable action other than staff was given direction. So now we're on to public comment procedure. Sean, can you address that?
Yeah, I'll go. I can run through that really quickly. So on the agenda, the printed agenda, there's a link for the YouTube meeting. So folks that are listening in on YouTube, obviously you found the meeting. If you're listening on if you're watching on Zoom, you've obviously found the meeting. If you're watching on YouTube, the public comment procedure runs through Zoom. So you'll need to connect to Zoom through that link. Because we're using the webinar format, public comment happens by folks raising their hand. So there's a button at the bottom of the screen if you're watching the meeting Zoom, button at the bottom of the screen that says raise hand. When we get to public comment, you'll hit that raise hand button and that'll tell us that you would like to make a public comment. If you're listening via phone or if you call in via phone, you will do that by hitting star 9. I believe it. Yeah, star 9 to raise your hand. If you're calling through phone, we'll announce you the last 4 numbers of that phone number to get the public comment. And as you raise your hand, we'll turn on your microphone. I'll run that and turn the microphone on for you. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Matters of interest to council members. Anyone? Okay, seeing none, go to the town manager report, Sean.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I have the usual COVID-19 update that I wanted to provide really quickly to you. The county, the whole county is now in the purple tier. We were moved into the purple tier back in, I think December it was, maybe November. We have moved out of the regional stay-at-home order. So we're not under that regional stay-at-home order, which means that restaurants can operate with a specific capacity restrictions. I have a link in the town manager report that'll be posted to the website that will take you to states kind of guidelines on what can be open and what can't be open under those specific guidelines. Let's see, on the vaccination side, state and county continue to provide vaccinations as quickly as they're available. But there's still kind of a bottleneck on the supply side. I think that's easing up a little bit from what I've heard from the county health director recently, but there is a bottleneck on the supply side, not so much on the ability to give the vaccine, to get the shots in people's arms. And so hopefully we'll be getting more of the vaccine supply available so we can get the vaccines running out more efficiently and quickly. Folks, if they want to sign up for a vaccine or to be notified when they're available to be vaccinated, they can either do that through the state. There's a myturn, I think .com is the state website. And then also through the county website, there's a website on there that they have specifically for the vaccination side. The town itself isn't doing anything on the vaccinations. We're not involved with the vaccinations. At this point, I don't think that we have any vaccination sites in town, although Safeway may, Rayleigh's may end up having vaccines available through the pharmacy. I don't know if that's going to happen or not yet. Town hall operations, we moved primarily to work from home at the beginning of the year. We continue on with that at this point. But the public counter is still open the same hours, has been since I think April. So that's 9 a.m. to noon, Monday through Thursday. Our building department is very busy. People are still coming in and getting building stuff going and doing work. So we still have a lot of activity on the building side and trying to make sure that we're able to accommodate that as much as possible. Public Works is continuing on the rotating shifts with only 1 employee per vehicle, and then the library continues to be closed to members of the public at least until we're into the red tier and out of the purple tier. We're still doing the the reservation system. So if you want to book, you can go online to the library website, order that book, and then they set it out for you at a specific time. They'll leave it out for you to pick up. We still also have those take and make craft kits. Yeah, take and make craft kits that the kids really like. They've included an adult section now, so there's some adult craft things that are happening and being set out as well. And then they've also expanded into different stuff like I think they're doing board games now and lending those out to the library. So that's pretty cool. And then always, remember to wear your face mask when you're in public, do the social distancing, wash your hands, and follow those. On Costco, because we constantly get questions about where we're at with Costco, council approved that project back in September. We're facing 3 lawsuits on that project right now and trying to work our way through those. I think that one of them is pretty close to being resolved, and the town continues to look forward to vigorously defending our approval of that project. That is my language, not the attorney's language, by the way. I just wanted to give a quick update on some of the downtown business stuff that's happening. Ace Hardware, the old Christensen's building, is doing exceedingly well. They're doing so much business that they've actually approached the town to look at using a portion of vacant land near the parking lot at the end of Walnut Street to put a kind of an ancillary building for inventory. They don't have enough room in the store to keep enough inventory on stock to keep supplies going, and they can't have trucks coming in 3 times a day to deliver supplies. So they were anticipated to do, I think, like, I don't remember what the number was, but they ended up blowing their projections from corporate out of the water by like more than 3 times what they thought the corporate people thought they were going to do. That was back number. So that business is killing it in town and doing just a great job. Plus, on top of generating sales tax and filling the need for the town, they're also bringing people downtown who then go and buy stuff in other places, which is kind of what we want to see. So that kind of synergistic stuff of you go to one place and then you go to another place, and then maybe the husband goes to the hardware store while the wife or the kids go somewhere else. That's the kind of stuff that we want to see to keep that folks in town and spending money for revenue that we need. Loomis Garage, I'm working on tenant improvements. So that's the project and the old Chevy dealership. Folks have probably seen a couple dumpsters out there in the front. They were approved for their design review. They went through that back in 2019, I think it was. Got approved for that, and now they're finally starting to move forward with that. And so I don't know 100% what businesses are going in. I've heard that a coffee store might be going in, one of the local coffee places. A roasting place might be located there, but although I'm not 100% sure if that is what it's going to be. I don't have a specific timeline on when those businesses are going to be opening either. And then the last thing, the recent storm impacts, the town, we actually did pretty well throughout that last storm, the high winds and the rain and stuff. We had one tree that fell down. Public Works guys were able to take care of that pretty quickly. Not a major issue at all. They were really proactive on getting some of the, the problem storm drain areas that we have in drainage areas, taking care of those before the storm actually hit. And so they prevented, frankly, probably a couple places from potentially flooding, again, just by being proactive and taking care of that stuff ahead of time. So kudos to them for getting that stuff done and kind of protecting our town on the flooding side. So that's all that I got. I got the town manager Tuesday thing coming up again, 4th Tuesday of the month at 9 o'clock in the morning through Zoom, and I'll post the link the Friday before. I can answer questions if you have any.
Any questions for Sean? Okay, seeing no questions.
Let's see if we need any from the public really quickly here. We'll give a couple seconds for that.
Oh, okay, thanks.
It doesn't look like we do, so moving on.
All right, thanks, Sean. Chamber of Commerce update. Ryan, do you have anything for us?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the past 2 weeks, we had opened up the last round of the Placer Shares Grant. Placer County gave the Loomis, Newcastle, and Pinner area a little over $155,000 to hand out to local businesses. We just concluded the application timeframe and process on Friday the 5th. And we're going through the review process right now and should be notifying people starting tomorrow. And we had over 30 people and businesses apply, ranging from brick and mortar stores from here to Newcastle to wineries and breweries also. So it was a great turnout. If there's anything left over, then we're definitely considering reopening it briefly, but we have to see where we are at the end of the approval process right now. And that's all I got. Any questions? Okay.
Any-
Ryan, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
The maximum award, as my understanding, is $5,000. So with your 30 applicants, let's say that they qualified for the $5,000 maximum award, that gets you at 150. You said you had 155.
Yeah.
Given that right now you're real close to exhausting those funds, how likely is it that these 30 applicants would receive the maximum award? Or do you have a calculation based upon lost revenue for awarding an amount?
So we, you're right, the max award amount is up to $5,000. Right now we do have a calculation that's based off of monthly rent and utilities. And then the second tier would be the type of business, with the third tier being how much they've been affected throughout the process of COVID. So we are trying to do it as analytically as possible.
No, I understand that. That's a good way of going about it. I just didn't know. Thank you.
Yep, of course. Welcome.
And then Ryan, is it true the wineries, so they have a different stipend amount, or
Correct.
what difference there?
Yeah, so this shares grant was meant to help people and businesses with brick and mortars with rent and utilities. Most wineries, though, are on somebody's private property, so it's hard to prove what's rent, what's utilities allocated to business, and so on. So after working with the local winery associations, general idea was decided on a $1,500 reimbursement for production supplies, such as bottles, corks, and that sort of thing.
Okay, so then not all 30 will get the 5,000, so there'll be maybe opportunity for more to
For
open.
more coming.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Okay, any other questions for Ryan? Okay, well, thanks, Ryan. Sounds like a good program. And now we'll open up for public comment for items not on the agenda.
So if you have a public comment, you're going to want to hit that raise hand button at the bottom of the Zoom screen that you're watching there. It doesn't look like we have any public comment, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, all right, so seeing no public comment, we'll go to adoption of the agenda. Does anyone?
Agenda.
Just quickly, Mr. Mayor, before we go into the adoption of the agenda, we're going to need to pull item number 11 from the agenda, and I'll let Mary Beth explain that really quickly.
Certainly. Good evening. At this time, I ask that you pull item number 11 from the agenda and continue it to a special meeting. This afternoon, we realized there was an error in the master spreadsheet and the way people were assigned, like their statement of interest, check certain boxes. And that spreadsheet kind of went along in good fashion, and there was something that changed in it prior to the second edition. So at this time, I would like to correct that error and provide you with the proper spreadsheets. The statement of interests are accurate, but the spreadsheets are inaccurate. So I would be looking to possibly conduct a special meeting based on your availability next week or the week after. So just to table it for now and continue it till later.
And we'll have Cricket reach out to council members and obviously put that on the website when we do get the meeting schedule to make sure that we have, ample public notice for folks.
So are there any
Thank you.
questions from council? Okay, so I would like to see it done next week as soon as possible. So if we could do that with the notification of the public, I'd appreciate having it done next week. All right, so do we need a motion to,
You'll need a motion to adopt the agenda with number 11 removed, taken off the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the agenda minus item 11, which we will continue to next week.
I'll second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call?
Councilmember Baker,
Aye.
Councilmember Clark Kretz,
Aye.
Councilmember Cartwright,
Aye.
Councilmember Nisley,
Aye.
Mayor Duncan.
Aye. Okay. All right, now we're at opportunity to comment on consent calendar. So is there anything anyone wants to pull to look at, or does it look good to you?
So if there's no comments from council, then we'll open it up for any concerns, public comment on the consent agenda as well. So if you would like to make a comment on one of those items, you'll hit that raise hand button at the bottom of the screen. Doesn't look like it, sir.
Okay, seeing no public comment, let's go ahead and get a motion for the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion that I make a motion on our consent calendar.
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Let's have a roll call vote.
Councilmember Clark Kretz,
Aye.
Councilmember Baker,
Aye.
Councilmember Cartwright,
Aye.
Councilmember Nisley,
Aye.
Mayor Duncan.
Aye. Okay, so now we're at business. So item number 12 is Planning Commission appointments.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the recommendation from staff on this is for the council to approve Councilmember Cartwright's and Councilmember Nisley's recommendations for the Planning Commission appointments. Municipal code provides the method by which our planning commissioners are appointed. And they're appointed at the meeting either in January or February and begin serving in March for new council members when they're elected. So Councilmember Nisley and Councilmember Cartwright are able to appoint their planning commissioners at this time. Council does need to make a motion to approve those, however.
Okay, so we'll have Jenny go first in making her appointment. And do
Thank
we,
you, Mayor.
okay, go ahead, thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Duncan. I'd like to appoint Greg Branovich as a planning commission. I also would just like to say, I would also like to give a lot of thanks to Jean Wilson for all of her years on the planning commission. So
Okay, thanks, Jenny. Are we going to vote in one motion, or are we going to do each individually?
You should probably do each individually just to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll need a motion for Jenny's appointment of Greg Abranovich.
I'll make a motion to approve Greg Abranovich.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Let's have a vote.
Councilmember Baker,
Aye.
Councilmember Clark Kretz,
Aye.
Councilmember Cartwright,
Aye.
Councilmember Nisley,
Aye.
Mayor Duncan.
Aye. Okay. So now it's Danny Cartwright's appointment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to appoint to the Planning Commission Stephanie Youngblood.
All right. So we'll need a motion.
Make a motion to approve Stephanie Youngblood as planning commissioner.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, we should have asked for public comment,
Oh, I'm sorry.
just in case there's any comment on either of the two appointments.
Okay. So,
So if you have a public comment, you'll want to hit the raise hand button down at the bottom on Zoom. It doesn't look like we have any public comment.
okay. Seeing no public comment, where were we?
I made a
Brian
motion.
made the motion, right?
Yep.
Councilmember Baker,
Aye.
Councilmember Cartwright,
Aye.
Councilmember Clark-Kretz,
Aye.
Councilmember Nisley,
Aye.
Mayor Duncan.
Aye.
Congrats, new planning commissioners.
Yeah. Get ready. All right. So now we have our appointments done. So now item 13 is improvements to Laird Road and High Cliff Road intersection. We have a staff report.
Yeah, I'm going to turn it over to our interim town engineer, Tom Rourke. Is it Rourke or Rourke?
Rourke.
Rourke. And then I'm going to run the PowerPoint for him. So. All right. Take it away, Tom.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and town council members. Tom Rourke, interim town engineer. Tonight, I'm here to present the staff report for the improvements to Laird Road and High Cliff Road intersection. Next slide, please. Within the last 5 years, there has been 4 accidents at this intersection. 2 of them have occurred in the last year alone. The existing curve at that intersection is approximately 45 degrees, so it's a very sharp curve, and drivers need to slow down to 15 miles per hour or less. The primary reason given in the police reports for the accidents occurring has been that vehicles are exceeding the posted speed limit. Next slide, please. In this exhibit, in the upper right corner of the diagram is the intersection of Laird Road and High Cliff Road. You can see the sharp curve at that location. There, next slide. So there is a long-term solution planned. In 2007, a parcel map was recorded which provided an offer of dedication, which will allow for the construction of a 300-foot radius curb on that road, which would allow the vehicles then to travel faster than 15 miles per hour. Unfortunately, there are no funds currently identified for this project. Staff, however, will continue to apply for grants such as the Highway Safety Improvement Funds in the future to see if we can get the money that's needed to construct the ultimate solution. Next slide, please. However, in the interim, what staff would like to do is to install some flashing yellow warning beacon lights at the prior to the curve in both directions on Laird Road, and add additional signage to alert the drivers of the curve ahead and the need to slow down. Next slide, please. This is an illustration of what the device would look like. There'd be the flashing yellow beacon on top. It's solar powered to make sure that we would have power all the time. And then you would have the curve identified. And possibly we're looking at if on the same side, we could put the 15-mile-an-hour speed limit there, or if we need to put it on a different side. It depends on what the code will allow us to do. In addition, if you, I don't know if you can go back to the slide which showed the intersection, Sean. In addition, we'd like to put a stop sign at High Cliff Road. Currently, there is no stop sign there. And sorry, Sean, to make you go all the way back to next slide there. So once we install, with your permission, once we install the flashing yellow warning lights, we will continue to monitor the intersection, and hopefully that will solve the interim problem. If not, if additional accidents occur, then staff will research additional options and bring those recommendations back to council in the future. So tonight, next slide, please. We estimate that the installation of the flashing warning signs and additional signage will be approximately $15,000. Next slide. So tonight, we recommend that council would adopt a resolution approving the installation of the flashing warning signs and additional signage at this intersection, and authorize $15,000 from the transportation funds for this project. Next slide. Staff is available for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Okay, any questions from council?
No questions, but I will say that this is something that we need desperately right there. I live very close to that curve, and there are indeed many accidents. And not only that, we have a lot of big trucks that come down that way, and they can't make that radius, and they constantly go over the dirt and over the fencing and everything. So I mean, I understand why we have to do this in the interim, but it would be great to actually get that whole thing redone. And I'm glad you're going to put a stop sign on High Cliff Road. So I think it's great.
Okay, so we'll open up for public comment.
If you're, so we have one public comment, a couple public comments coming in. So we're going to turn, Pam Blake, you're turned on, but you need to unmute yourself. There you go.
Hi, thank you. I just had a question on the sign that showed the diamond yellow with the arrow. Will the sign be more representative of a 45-degree angle instead of a curve? Because it's really at a 45-degree angle. I was talking to my mom this afternoon, and she knew exactly the spot I was talking about, and she was trying to tell me it was based on people not familiar with the road. And I said, no, Mom, it's speeding. So my question is, based on the sign that was showed, will it more represent a 45-degree, angle?
We can make sure that the sign is representative of it reflects the true angle of the curve.
Okay, that'll be great. That was my only question, and it's been too long in coming, for this. So thank you.
Thanks, Pam. Okay.
Our next public comment is from David Ring. Wait, I think. All right, David, you're turned on, ready to go.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so I just want to say that, yeah, I agree. We do need something there. I've seen people drive straight through from Laird and onto High Cliff without even stopping. So it's, as I was approaching, so it was scary. But I think I missed this, but are there signs going in on both directions? So is there going to be a warning light coming north and the other one going east as well?
Yes, there would be flashing beacons on both directions.
Okay, and then one other question is once the new curve goes in, how is the property owner that currently owns it, is their property now just sliced in half, or how does that get adjusted?
There was a dedication with a parcel map where the curve was dedicated, as well as the property all between the curve and Laird, the existing Laird Road location. All that was dedicated as an offer of dedication to the town.
So the town owns, so once the curve goes in on the outside part of the curve is just because is town's land then?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right, thanks, David.
And
Okay.
our next public comment is from Gene Wilson. Gene, you're turned on, but you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, my comment is basically, I understand this is a stopgap measure, but a reminder that when Costco comes in, we will have probably some increasing traffic that's coming in from the Granite Bay sort of direction to use Brace to get to Costco. So that needs to get looked at for sometime in the future when we can to get that extra curve in there.
Okay, and that was it, Gene?
Gene, you got put on mute. Are you?
Okay, am I back?
Yes.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, the other comment was on the curve, the land there. It was Frank Buck back when that happened, and he did a lot split there in that corner. And it was at that time that he was required to give that dedication. So we've had that as a possible land for that ever since that. That's it.
And okay, is any more public comment?
We have Greg Obranovich. Greg, you're turned on, but you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, one idea that will solve your problem, and it's worked in several areas in town, and it's not very popular, but you know, I'm going to give it a shot. Speed bumps. So think about that. It's controversial, but I know the intersection, and that was on our that area was on a planning commission for many months, as Gene will attest to, over the wall. But that's a different issue. But anyway, I'd like to throw that out there. Thank you.
Do you want to address the speed bump thing, Tom?
We have looked at speed bumps in the past, and the problem that we have is that speed bumps, they do slow down traffic, but the problem is that they can also cause damage to emergency vehicles, and they also slow down emergency vehicles as well. And so we look at the possibility of putting speed bumps in versus adding more time for emergency vehicles to get to someone. And so we tend not to approve speed bumps because of those reasons.
But it is something that we looked at for that road and kind of did a little bit of analysis on it. We did look at that.
And
Any
if we
other?
Oh, go ahead, Sean.
I was going to say, it doesn't look like we have any other public comment. Roger has his hand up for a public comment.
Thanks. Yeah. Speaking of the speed bumps, I actually have two comments. One's a question, one's a comment. We talked about the dots, the rumble strip dots? They would alert people to that, because if you can trust the people that lived in the area, the issue with the last two accidents was people fell asleep, and a flashing light's not going to help that. But the rumble strips would wake them up without slowing down the emergency traffic. I don't know if you still consider doing that or not.
We have looked at that. We were looking at that as possibly the next step, because it could be relatively easily installed with our crews. We wanted to see if this would do it without having to cause the annoyance to all the drivers, if possible. And the other thing about it was, because the police reports that I read said that it was excess speed and did not mention the drivers. It was kind of being asleep at the wheel. That was kind of anecdotal that I couldn't prove. So I wanted to see if just the flashing lights would work by themselves. But again, we will continue to monitor it. And if need be, that would be one of the next things we would be looking at to install.
Okay. And my question on the stop sign, that would be a stop sign for people exiting High Cliff Road, not people exiting onto High Cliff Road.
Correct. It would only be for people exiting out of High Cliff.
Specifically for you.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't stop either direction, so that's probably a good thing.
Okay, any more public comment?
It doesn't look like it.
Okay. All right, and this is basically, we're doing this in lieu of what ultimately would need to be done as far as straightening the curve. Or, you know, we have the property. I think that's what Gene was alluding to, is some property donated, and, you know, we just don't have the money at this time for that, right?
That is correct. The long-term solution would be to construct a 300-foot radius curve. We're probably talking in the neighborhood of $400,000 to $500,000 for that. And there are grants out there that the federal government gives, the highway safety improvement ones, and there's also some for rural roads as well. Well, staff will put in for those when they become available, and it's all based on number of accidents that occur, et cetera. And unfortunately, the more accidents you have, the more likely you are to get money. So,
right.
So we will put that in and see if we can get the money for the ultimate.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from council? Okay, seeing none, we'll need a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the resolution to install 2 flashing yellow warning lights and additional signage at the intersection of Laird Road and High Cliff Road.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Clark-Kretz,
Aye.
Councilmember Baker,
Aye.
Councilmember Cartwright,
Aye.
Councilmember Nisley,
Aye.
Mayor Duncan.
Aye. Okay. So now we have number 14, mid-year budget review and staff report by Roger Carroll. Where'd Roger go?
Nope,
You're
you're
on
muted.
mute.
Okay, now I am not muted. Before I share my screen, Andrew Jackson wanted to say something. Let's talk money. No, anyway. Would have been more fun in person, but anyway, I'm gonna share my screen so that you can see the staff report. It's up to you. I'm trusting you've all read it. Let's see, share. Let me see. Are you looking at my cat or my staff report?
Staff report.
Okay, there's my cat. Okay. So this year, just to preface this year continues to be a year unlike any other year. Generally, in a mid-year budget review, all we do is talk about a few variances. We don't make any budget amendments. We just note them and move forward. This year, we went into the budget with no idea at all what was going to happen. The opportunities for loss of revenue were dire. And as usual, the accountant in me went as conservatively as possible. I under budgeted for just about every revenue that counts for the town. So this year, instead, there's a whole list of adjustments I would like to make, so that we can ramp back up to accomplish the tasks that we need to do for the town, because the money is available, and adjust for those also. I think the most significant, we expected that sales taxes were going to be slashed, that businesses would be able to defer their revenues, that people wouldn't be spending. In reality, what happened was the county pools of internet purchases were off the charts. People were buying online, and those funds are distributed in a different way than the brick and mortar stores. So we're getting a greater portion of those than we would have expected. We also, one of our businesses that was behind in their taxes caught up, which was a significant amount in one quarter. And then the transaction tax, the quarter-cent tax was again allocated much better than we expected. One caveat going forward is that, and I have to say this carefully, I've been told by my sales tax analyst, a very large internet sales company has requested reallocation of how their money is, how their sales are allocated based on their procurement centers versus county pools. That could become if the state, and the state's supposed to decide like any day now how it's going to happen, but if that happens, the future we could see a $10,000 to $40,000 decrease per year going forward, and possibly a $40,000 to $100,000 reallocation for the past 5 quarters. I haven't heard that happened yet, so I'm hoping that that doesn't. I'm going to go forward as expected, that ultimately this year our sales tax will be almost as much as we've had in prior years. So if you see on the screen here, I'm recommending increasing the property taxes, the sales taxes. The real property transfer tax was the biggest surprise. People are just buying houses like crazy right now. And what that does is it does 2 things. There's a transfer tax that they pay to the county. And then going forward, all the properties will be reassessed at the higher value. So the property taxes in the future will even be better than they were this year. So I'm increasing that one. Our building permit activity was, again, we expected dismal activity, and it's just off the charts. And so I'm increasing all of our building permits, the building permits, the plan checks, and all the other permits. These monies here, though, have a offsetting expense because of the building activity. There's also an adjustment for the expenditures that we're going to have to pay for our building inspections, our building plan checks, and those. Property tax in lieu of vehicle license fees is one of those revenues we don't know how much we're going to get before the end of the year. Generally, I note it and we say we're going to have a better year than we expected, and I don't adjust the budget. But because I would like to adjust various expenses, I'm increasing that also. Portfolio income, unfortunately, is one that took a hit because of the decreasing interest rates. It comes down slowly. We're still earning 2.5% to 3% on our portfolio because of the CDs and bonds that I bought over the last 5 years. But as those roll off, that's going to drop, and we're also seeing that drop already. This miscellaneous, so there's 2 grants that I'm showing here. I wish I'd put this in before. We're spending money on the general plan update. Most of that's being reimbursed. Because it was a flow through, I wasn't including it in the budget. But because it's looks like any other dollars coming in and out, I decided to add that back into the budget. So I expect we'll spend about $225,000 of that grant this year. You'll see an offsetting expense in the planning department. The CARES Act grant we didn't know about. I added that revenue in because we spent it too. And this prior year excess reserves, I'm decreasing. We had planned to spend that to fill the gap of what we weren't going to get this year. Since that's not happening, I'm putting that reserves back into reserves for a future year. The expenditures I'm recommending, we increased. Where the employees were promised a 1.1% cost of living adjustment for the current year. They agreed to put that off, waiting to the mid-year to see how the year was going. Because the year is going well, we're going to go ahead and give that 1.1% cost of living adjustment. Let's see, there's some of the things one of the adjustments that I made in the budget that it has no up or down effect is that I didn't, and it's maybe cryptic, and I hope it's not too confusing, but there's 2 parts of the retirement costs that we have for the prior years and for the future years. So when we pay retirement costs on the future years, that comes out with the payroll. Each year, we're also required to pay into the CalPERS funds for years in the past that have been readjusted. Since that really doesn't relate to the specific departments, I've backed that out of each of the departments and run it through the administration department as a internal fund type entry. Our town manager has been selected for a prestigious training program that's going to cost $10,000 to $15,000 over the next couple fiscal years. So I'm increasing the budget by $4,000 for that. Here's where I talked about the general plan update, adding the $225,000 expenses. There's a number of contracts also. Oh, so here's 87.5 came out for the CARES grants. And then these are various contracts that we would like to increase. Well, we have to increase because we need funding for our public works and engineering departments. Here you can see where the building inspections have also increased based on the revenues I talked about. So after all that's said and done, there's still a positive $88,000 I expect of revenue in excess of expenditures. That's a nice little pad to keep in our back pocket for the rest of the fiscal year in case something changes or something else needs to be done. And with that, are there any questions?
Okay, any questions from council?
I have a quick question for you, Roger, and it's just want to understand a little bit more on the CalPERS, the prior service cost, and it's a wash. So I understand that it's a zero hit to our budget, but it really represents the work that our people have done in prior. Can you sort of explain that a little bit, so if anybody wanted to understand that more?
So each year, like I said, the CalPERS calculates what we're going to need to pay in, and that's based on a certain return on investment. So they're always wrong. Just so you know, they are always wrong. Sometimes they're better, sometimes it's worse. I mean, one year they claimed a 30% return on investment. The next year, a negative 15% loss on investment. And so each year they create this little allocation to us of what that would have needs to be fulfilled or replaced to fill that, to backfill those years. And so even if we paid off our prior debt, it's a kind of a debt. If we paid that off, it would come back one way or another as excess revenue or more expense. So it's, again, this is one of those things that it's ongoing. It will always be here, but it needs to be paid for the prior year service. But like I said, the whole reason I bring it up is because it's not really applicable to the departments, and I don't want the department heads to be responsible for that.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay. Any other council comments or questions? Seeing none, let's open up for public comment.
Okay, so Pam, Blake, you are ready to go. You just need to unmute yourself.
Hello, I just had a question on the budget for the code enforcement officer, Lee. I missed last month's meeting because I got a new laptop, but there was some talk about cutting back her hours and stuff. So where do we stand on code enforcement dollars?
You want to do that? So anyway, what happened at the beginning of the fiscal year, we cut her back to by a quarter of what she was doing before. We used to have her twice a week. About November, we could see that the revenues were coming in well. We did a budget amendment back then that increased her time to once a week. And that's the way it's going to stay probably through the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, I have another question. How much money do you show, coming in for the violations? Because I have an outstanding one that's been over, 4 years. So do you know what the money is coming in for violations, or the follow-up on that and collecting monies and getting the violations taken care of?
I do. Let's see, yeah, so far this year, we've brought in about $1,500 of citations that have been paid. Last year, it was about $4,000. And again, that goes into the general fund, and it not technically, but in a way offsets our code enforcement's costs. But yeah, generally it's like $2,000 to $4,000 a year.
Okay, thank you.
If there's any other public comments, you'll need to hit that raise hand button at the bottom of the webinar screen there. It doesn't look like we have any more, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, all right, seeing none, no more public comment. We need to have a motion to adopt a resolution for this budget, mid-year budget review.
Make a motion to approve the mid-year budget review.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Let's have a roll call vote.
Councilmember Baker,
Aye.
Councilmember Cartwright,
Aye.
Councilmember Clark Kretz,
Aye.
Councilmember Nisley,
Aye.
Mayor Duncan.
Aye. Okay, so now we're at council committee reports. Has anyone been to a committee? One of their assigned committees yet? Anything to report?
The only thing that I guess was of circumstance or whatever is Luke McNeil, the Deputy Executive Director at PCTPA, has taken a position in the private sector, and so he left us at PCTPA, and so he will be greatly missed, and was great to work with, and we're excited for him and his new ventures.
Okay, all right, thanks, Brian. Anyone else? I have nothing.
Yeah, I do, Jeff,
Oh, all right.
Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead, Jenny.
I attended the Economic Development Board meeting, and they elected Scott Alvord again as the chair for the Placer County Economic Development Board. And basically, that was the main thing that happened. They talked about the Placer shares, but we've already talked about that. So, and then also I attended the Cal Cities training for 4 days. So that was quite interesting and very informative, and thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Very good. All right, thanks, Jenny. Okay, so seeing no other comments, I guess that's it. We'll adjourn the meeting at 7:58. Look forward to seeing you all next week. Right?
Thanks.